Hey everybody, I want to give you an update on this Fender 5F1 Champ that I'm putting into a Philco 84. I want to just show you where we are. So you'll see that I've got the tubes here. I showed you that last time. I've got this metal plate mounted here and pop riveted. So I've got all that done. I did move the plate for this 12AX7 underneath, so that looks a lot neater. And let's just flip it over underneath and I'll show you what's going on there. I do have the board mounted where I'm going to mount all the components, and you'll see that I have the grounds from these two tubes going to a ground tab, and I have the other wire that comes across here, and this will actually go up to the dial light. Obviously on the rectifier tube I need to connect the 5-volt leads and the high voltage leads there, but this is the board. These colorful things that you see are basically just screws, so I mounted it with screws and standoffs underneath. You see it right under there. And I want to make sure that none of the components touch these, so I've covered these in heat shrink tube, and make sure that they stay nice and clean out of the way. And really the next step for me at this point is to mount my transformer. So let me show you what that's all about. So here's the transformer I'm going to use. It's a classic tone 40-18019, and this is actually the right transformer for this type amplifier. And I'll show you the spec sheet on it so you can see exactly what it does and has, etc. So you'll see on the power side it's 120 volt 60 cycle, 2 blacks, that's easy. Then there's a 650 volt center tap 70 milliamp high voltage side, and you'll see I've got 2 red leads and a red yellow, which is a center tap. Then I've got my 5 volt side, which goes to the rectifier tube, that's 3 amps. And then I've got my filament side, which is 6.3 volts, and that's also center tapped, green and yellow. So that fits nicely with what I'm going to do, and you'll see from a size perspective it's roughly 2.5 inches across the screws, the mounting nuts, and 2 inches this way, so it's a relatively small footprint. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my Dremel and I'm going to slice this open, and I'm essentially going to drop this transformer down in there. And the reason why I want to do that, I have another transformer here, this one here, which is pretty much the same thing as that smaller one, but it's a lot bigger and it's a lot heavier. And if I put it up here, it's going to just create way too much weight for this cabinet. So I've tested this one out. I've actually rewired it, and I'm just going to put it in my ready for use pile. And you'll see that I've marked it correctly so everybody knows what it is. And that's a little trick I can show you on the center tap wires. I actually just use a white wire, and I put a label around it so I know which one is the center tap right there. And I also mark it with the color. So this is the 6.3 volt center tap right here. Anyway, this is the transformer we're going to use. It's a lot smaller and it's a lot lighter. And this is the output transformer that I have. It's a classic tone 40-18110. Again, that's the appropriate output transformer for this amp. And the spec sheet on that one is right here. So it's a 17K single output transformer. And it's got a black and a green, which output is 4 ohms, and that means we'll put a 4 ohm speaker in this cabinet. Okay, and of course what I'm going to do on this is I'm actually going to mount a speaker output on the top of the chassis, probably back here somewhere, probably in this area. And the connection to the speaker is going to be a wire that you can remove, so that if you wanted to plug this amp into a bigger cabinet, a 4 ohm cabinet, you could do that. So I'm not going to hardwire the speaker. I'm going to use a removable plug. And speaking of speakers, let me show you what the speaker looks like. And make sure I don't damage this thing. This is an 8-inch Jensen speaker, 4 ohms. It's a special design, like so. You'll see right there it's 4 ohms. I think it's a C8R, 4 ohms right there. And nice speaker, right? This is going to be great for guitar. And that's going to mount right here in this cabinet, right? Fits perfectly right in there. Last thing I want to show you is on the inside of the cabinet. Let's flip this around. So you'll see on the on the pilot light, I've actually connected this quick connector here. And this side obviously comes off when I have two hands. And this side will mount to the chassis. So there'll be one wire coming up right here. This is the green that's coming off of the 12AX7. And the other wire is actually going to come off of the transformer. And it goes to this connector. And the reason why I'm doing that is if you ever want to pull the chassis out, you just disconnect these wires and you don't have any problem. I also put some insulation around these connections. So hopefully someone recognizes that you can't stick your hand in there when the power's on. But that's why I did that. So all in all, this is coming together. Next step for me is going to be to mount this transformer. And then I'm going to begin the process of wiring. Real simple on this thing, right? It's pretty easy. I've got everything laid out correctly. The only thing I have to just be mindful of is I have the board in backwards. And I'll show you what I mean by that. If you take a look at this chart, you'll see there's the 12AX7, there's the 6V6, and there's the rectifier tube, right? If you look here, I have the 12AX7 here, I have the 6V6 in the middle, and I have the rectifier tube on this side. Okay, so on here, it's on this side of the board, and on here, it's on this side of the board. So all I'm really going to do is just connect everything backwards. So looking at this wiring diagram, you'll see that the electrolytic capacitors are on the left-hand side of the board. They're simply just going to be on the right-hand side of the board. Okay, so I'm just going to do a mirror image when I install all the components. But essentially, it's going to be the same exact circuit, and it's just going to be reversed. All right? And at the end of the day, I'm going to end up on this 12AX7 on this side. And if you look here, the 12AX7 is on this side. So, piece of cake. The only other thing I have to do now is figure out how I'm going to mount the input, the guitar input. I don't know where I'm going to do that yet. I don't know if I'm going to put it in here, protruding through the front, or I don't know if I'm going to put it in the back, where I've got holes already. I'll have to think about that if I want to maintain the look of the radio and not drill holes in it. So I may end up putting the input jack in the back here. We'll see. I have some time to think about that. So that is the update. I also have the grill cloth here, all ready to go. I actually flipped it around because the old one was very, very faded. All I did was flip it around, right? Looks good on that side, so it's protected. And that's what you'll see on the front of the amp. So that's going to be the next step. So for me, I'm going to start getting my Dremel out and start cutting away here. Drill some holes to mount, and I'm good to go. So like I said, easy project. Just going to take my time and make sure I do it right. And I eventually, when I get everything wired, which shouldn't take too long, then we'll throw it up on my test gear here, right? My dummy load box and the oscilloscope, and we'll see what kind of output we're getting. All right. Last update on the Hammerland. I haven't gotten the faceplate back yet. I wrote to Radio Days, and they told me that it will be shipped out within a week. A little unhappy there. It's taken well over a month to get it back, and their website says 7 to 10 days. But I'm not going to complain at this point. I've got other things to keep me busy. As long as I get it back, I'm happy, right? You can't replace those things. So that's the plan, and I'm going to wrap this video up for tonight. I had a pretty good day today, by the way. I was on the Sean Hannity radio show today. That was pretty cool. I was able to call in, and they allowed me to be on the radio, and I got to talk to Sean Hannity and ask him a few questions. Turns out that he and I, which I knew, were born in the same city in New York, and he worked at a very popular pub there that I was probably in once or twice, maybe. And during the interview, he actually asked me, "Were you in there?" I was the bartender then. So got to have a little bit of an exchange with Sean Hannity, which is cool. So anyway, that was my day. I hope everybody's doing well, and I will see you guys out there.
WOKV. Ron, hi, how are you? And thanks for checking in from Paradise. What's going on?
Hey, Sean, how you doing? Nice to talk to you. And I'm also originally from Floral Park, so I know the Merry Peddler really well.
Oh, did you go in there?
Many times, yes.
Did you? How old are you?
I am 54 at this point.
Okay, you probably were going in when I was tending bar there.
That's what I thought. I wasn't positive, though. I don't
You probably, and you know what? I had some of the craziest, best times there. It was a tough time in my life, but the craziest, best times.
Anyway, I wanted to bring up something. I think you are on the cusp of creating a movement on the right that has been desperately needed since the president was elected. I think the left has been attacking us left and right, and we've all been sitting back and just letting it happen. And I think the media equalizer and the stop the scalping is exactly what we need to change the tide here. And I think you're at the beginning of something that's really, really good for this country. I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that to you.
Well, you're very kind. I will tell you this. I said this when I had to start the week on Tuesday, that I'd rather talk about other things. I'm hopeful, and I am ready to fight every minute of every day until I know that this whole thing is stopping. But I'd rather get back to the agenda. We elected a president because we wanted Americans out of poverty, off of food stamps. We wanted Americans back in the labor force. We wanted energy independence. We wanted to reverse the 51-year low of home ownership in this country. You know, those are my roots, my background. I didn't come from money. I didn't have any money. I had years and years with $200 in the bank, and that was it. And so I just want the same ladder of opportunity that I've had, and I believe in the agenda of the president. I also want safety, security, and strength in our country. I want our borders secure. You know, Obamacare repealed, replaced, all the things that we talked about. The president and his team now spend almost all of their time fighting back Russia, Russia, Russia by this corrupt media. It's almost all day, every day. And as soon as one story dies, they just dump another one. So I actually think the priority has to be to clean the deep state, those that leak and lie, and get the right people to advance the agenda. Now we're on, believe it or not, for us, we think, we got to the end of the year to get a lot of things done. But the way these pathetic, lazy people in Congress works, you know, they've only got 30 some odd days on the congressional legislative agenda. And now they can add more, but they're pretty reluctant, as per history, to do that. I want these things done for the country. This is an opportunity I don't want to have squandered. You know, so, you know, I've had to spend more time fighting to get my message out and stay on the air. And as soon as we're done with that, we're going to stay focused on helping the president advance principles that I believe work.
God bless you, Sean. I think everybody needs to know how important it is that we move forward here and stop all this lunacy and get back to what this country is really about, which is great people, and you're the right person.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your call and your support. The real heroes here is everybody in this audience.